Thank you for being here and watching this video. If you enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I want this channel to be more than just a collection of videos. I want it to be a community where we explore fascinating ideas, discuss them openly, learn from one another, and grow together. So don't stay silent, join the conversation. Attachment, consciousness, and the invisible chains we build around ourselves. André Maurois tells in his short story Serving the Golden Calf of a pair of French emigrants so afraid of losing what they had accumulated that they bound themselves, through the accumulating weight of their own fear, to a large suitcase filled with dollars and gold. The details of how the story ends belong to those who will read it. And they should, because Maurois is one of those writers for whom the ending is not a surprise that renders everything before it unnecessary, but the inevitable crystallization of everything that has been carefully laid before it. What matters here is the image itself, which is among the most precise and most uncomfortable images of the relationship between human beings and their possessions that literature has produced. The suitcase full of dollars and gold is not, of course, only a suitcase. It is the objectification of a particular psychological state. The state of a person for whom safety has become the highest value, for whom the preservation of what has already been acquired has displaced the capacity to continue moving, experiencing, risking, and growing. The emigrants in the story are not villains. They are people who have known genuine insecurity, who have experienced the real instability that economic and social displacement produces, and who have responded to that experience by developing an attachment to financial security so intense that it has gradually become indistinguishable from imprisonment. The chain is invisible, which is part of what makes it so effective and so interesting as an image. No one put it there from the outside. It grew from the inside, from the very love of what was inside the suitcase. And by the time it is visible, it has already done its work. Isn't that exactly how we cling to what is temporary? The question is rhetorical in form, but genuinely uncomfortable in content. Because the answer, honestly examined, is almost always yes. And the list of things we cling to in this way is longer and more revealing than most of us are comfortable admitting. Life itself, understood not as a process of continuous becoming, but as a fixed state to be defended and preserved against change. Money, accumulated not as a means towards something else, but as a hedge against a future that is feared more than it is imagined. Fame, which begins as the recognition of genuine work and ends, for some people, as an identity so completely identified with external validation that any threat to the recognition becomes a threat to the self. Even friends, relationships that began in genuine mutual interest and grew into something that one or both parties are now maintaining, not from active love, but from the fear of what it would mean to let them go. There is nothing wrong with love. That clarification is essential, because the insight risks being misread as a counsel of detachment in the cold sense. The advice to hold nothing, to care about nothing, to move through life without allowing anything to matter. That is not the point, and it is not what any serious philosophical or spiritual tradition that has engaged with this question has actually recommended. The Buddhist concept of non-attachment is routinely misunderstood as indifference, when what it actually describes is something more subtle and more difficult. The capacity to love fully, to engage completely, to be genuinely present in relationship and in experience without the presence depending on the permanence. To enjoy the flower without needing it not to wilt. To love a person without needing them to remain unchanged, to stay where they are, to confirm the particular form of the relationship indefinitely. The attachment that Buddhism identifies as the source of suffering is not love. It is the fear disguised as love, the need beneath the warmth to control the outcome. The Stoics approached the same territory from a different angle, through the practice they called amor fati, the love of fate, and through Epictetus's fundamental distinction between what is within our power and what is not. The attachment to outcomes, to the continuation of comfortable conditions, to the preservation of what we have rather than the engagement with what is. All of this falls on the wrong side of Epictetus's line. It is the investment of inner peace in something that cannot guarantee it, because the things we are attached to are not within our power to secure permanently. The money can be lost, the fame can reverse, the friends can leave or change or die. Life itself, most obviously and most certainly, is temporary. And the person who has made their inner stability dependent on the continuation of any of these things has handed over their inner life to forces they cannot ultimately control. But when love begins to bind and constrain, when what began as genuine care for something or someone starts to limit rather than expand the person who feels it, a transformation has occurred that deserves to be named clearly. The love has become possession. The care has become control. The warmth has become a wall. And the person who built the wall, who began the process of enclosure, from the best of intentions, is now living inside a smaller life than the one they had before the attachment formed. Not because anything external was taken from them, but because they gave something away from the inside. They traded the openness required for genuine experience for the apparent safety of holding tightly to what they already had. The image of the wall is important. It is not erected in a single dramatic decision. It grows incrementally through accumulating small choices, each of which seems individually reasonable and even prudent, that collectively produce an enclosure. The person who is afraid of losing their money makes one financial decision, and then another, and then another. And gradually the financial decisions begin to govern everything else. Where they live, how they travel, what relationships they maintain, what risks they consider, what possibilities they can even imagine. The person who is afraid of losing a relationship does something similar. They accommodate, they avoid conflict, they suppress inconvenient truths. They make themselves smaller in order not to disturb what they have. And gradually the relationship they were so committed to preserving becomes something neither person in it fully inhabits. The wall keeps out the threats. It also keeps out the light. The golden calf of the title is, of course, a biblical reference, and Maurois chose it deliberately. In Exodus, the golden calf is the idol the Israelites construct, while Moses is on the mountain receiving the law. The object they substitute for the divine, when the divine seems too absent, too demanding, too uncertain. The calf is gold because gold is tangible, because it holds its value, because it does not require faith. It is something you can see and touch and count. The worship of the golden calf is the worship of the certain over the uncertain, of the manageable over the transcendent, of the safe container over the open horizon. Maurois uses the reference to locate his emigrants' attachment to their suitcase, within a long human tradition of the same mistake. The substitution of the manageable and the tangible for the genuinely valuable, which is almost always less certain and less controllable. Every major wisdom tradition has addressed this in some form, because the tendency it describes is genuinely universal. In the Gospels, Jesus tells the story of the rich young man who comes asking what he must do to inherit eternal life, follows all the commandments, has lived according to every external standard, and is told that one thing is lacking. He must sell what he has, give it to the poor, and follow. He goes away sad because he has many possessions. The sadness is the story. Not condemnation, not dramatic failure. Just the quiet tragedy of a person who has identified so completely with what they have accumulated that the invitation to something larger cannot be received. Because receiving it would require becoming someone the possessions no longer recognize. The exploration of the world's beauty, that phrase in the original text deserves attention. It is not primarily about travel or novelty. It is about the quality of engagement with experience that becomes impossible, when the inner life is organized primarily around defense and preservation. The person whose deepest orientation is toward protecting what they have is not fully available to what is actually in front of them. Their attention is partially elsewhere, monitoring, calculating, assessing risk. And that divided attention produces a divided experience. They are in the room but not fully present in it. They are in the relationship but not fully open within it. They are alive but living behind glass, observing rather than inhabiting, becoming a prisoner of one's own foolishness. The phrase is sharp but not cruel. The foolishness it describes is not stupidity. It is the very human tendency to mistake the map for the territory, to treat the representations of security, the money, the status, the preserved relationships, the accumulated possessions, as equivalent to security itself. Real security, if such a thing exists, has never been located in any of those places. It is a quality of inner relationship to uncertainty, the capacity to engage with what is actually happening, to move through loss and change, and the permanent impermanence of everything external, without being destroyed by it. That capacity is developed through exactly the opposite of what the emigrants in Maurois' story attempt. Thank you for watching all the way through. I really appreciate you being here. Let me know what you think about the ideas in this video, and feel free to share your own perspective or advice in the comments. I genuinely like to read it. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe. My hope is to build not just a channel, but a community where people explore meaningful ideas, exchange thoughts, and grow together. See you in the next videos. Bye.